Max Payne sucks. How? Well, let me count the ways. One, you made a movie called Max Payne, which is pretty much doomed from the start. You're never going to get exactly a cinematic classic with that one. Two, somehow they managed to make a movie that is simultaneously very true to the video game and also manages to cut out everything that made the video game good. I'll explain. One, they managed to keep all the stuff about the angsty emo cop who is trying to avenge the death of his wife and his partner. All those really long, melodramatic, overwrought cutscenes that we skipped when we played the game. Yeah, those are all in there. Only they're not. There's no narration, which kind of takes away from the iconic nature of Max Payne, not having that narration like a film noir cop. And they also cut out all of that stuff about, jumping through the air, firing two guns at once at people, the balls-to-the-wall action. Yeah, all that's gone. We're just focusing on Marky Mark being this really sad sack, getting the shit kicked out of him constantly, because that's what we want to see. Two, it's rated PG-13, and anytime you're looking at an action movie or a horror movie and you're trying to decide whether or not it's worth watching, here's a little tip. If it's rated PG-13, probably not, because that means they had to cut out a bunch of stuff to get it marketed so the kiddies could watch it. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to explain and spoil the story for you, because trust me, you don't really care, do you? If you've played the game, you already pretty much know everything there is to know about it, but it's about Max Payne, a cop who's been assigned to the cold case unit because he's on his own little crusade trying to find the crackheads who killed his wife and daughter, and eventually in the movie, his partner. And the big twist of this is, the one guy who's been helping him through his investigation, his old cop buddy from the force, now retired and working as a security consultant for the corporation, turns out to be evil, and the mastermind behind this evil scheme for the evil corporation. Man, that's a plot element. The cop's former cop buddy turning out to be evil and betraying him at the climactic moment. God, that reminds me of that one cop movie. What was that movie? Oh yeah, every cop movie ever made! I can't believe they actually thought this would be surprising when they revealed this. In fact, I thought it was a joke, that I thought Max Payne was going to be like, I always knew you were evil, dude. They set this up textbook from the beginning about the really overly friendly retired cop who keeps meeting Max and handing him false leads and false information, constantly leading him into traps, and then at the end, he's got this big betrayal where he gets shot in the back. He turns around, and he's like, oh, Max. I was going to let you live, but you just know too much now, Max. And then, of course, when he's been betrayed, they, instead of killing Max right away, they decide to lead him out to the river, which has been frozen, where he then proceeds to spend literally 5 minutes explaining his evil plan to Max. Like, explaining the murders, how everything led up to this point. Max just kind of sits there, takes it. When he's done, Max, of course, then uses that exact moment to punch the henchman in the face, pistol whip the other guy in the head, and jump in the river and escape. He's like, man, if we'd have just shot him right then, we'd have just finished this movie. But no. It kind of harkens back to those 1980s action movies with Chuck Norris, where the exact same thing would happen, like Chuck's partner would turn out to be evil. In fact, it's the exact same kind of shoot-'em-up trope that is lampooned in the movie Shoot 'em Up, where the guy says, I'm not going to call one of my buddies just so he can turn out to betray me later on in the third act. Screw that. Let's just finish this movie. It was like, that is such bad screenwriting anymore. It would have actually been way more shocking if the buddy cop did not turn out to be evil. That's the kind of irony we've reached at this point in cinema, where actually not pulling the trigger on the stereotype is more surprising than doing that. You know what? This isn't even the worst video game movie ever. It's not even really that bad. Like, if you're going to pull out an Uwe Boll movie like Blood Rain, Alone in the Dark, of course those movies are going to be worse. This is actually shot by a guy with some competence for cinematography, special effects. And yes, even action sequences. There are a few action sequences, but not nearly enough for a movie you'd expect in a game from a game called Max Payne. You know, you expect this to be balls to the wall action, tons of John Woo sequences. This is actually fairly pedestrianly shot. There's nothing really all that exciting. In fact, all you really get is an abuse of slow motion and that same kind of Sin City cinematography. But at least I have to applaud the effort. You know, I guess my problem with this is, even though it's not all that bad technically, it's just so forgettable, it's in some ways worse. Because at least with an Uwe Boll movie, I could make fun of it. I could point at this and say, you have to see this shit, it's so bad. This is going to be forgotten. You know, this is a coaster. This is nothing. All this is going to inspire you to do is maybe pick up the video game thinking, man, that video game was pretty awesome back in the day. I think I'll play that. You know, the Uwe Boll movies, those will be classics. Those will live on in that same Plan 9 from Outer Space way. This is just worthless. This is a waste of your time. And you can't even say that necessarily for Uwe Boll movies. I have a soft spot for the guy now because even as bad as he is, even as horrible and as incompetent as he's turned out to be, the guy still produces some measure of entertainment. This is a black hole of entertainment. This is nothing. Do not watch this movie. And in fact, if you're going to watch a terrible Marky Mark movie, watch The Happening. Get the riff tracks for The Happening. Believe me, you will get far more entertainment out of that than anything I could show you here.